Hi, this is Andy Maddock, and today I'm going to show you the latest version of MegaParser, which now includes Volatility 3 support. So first, if we look at the directory, I've already put Volatility 3 in here. So there's a folder now called Volatility. Inside that folder, it has Python 3 and Volatility 3. Everything's already pre-compiled and ready to go. So it's all set up. If I want to use Volatility straight, I can use it directly from here, or I can use it through the MegaParser program. If I come out one directory here to the main directory, I have a file called available vol plugins. Now these are all the plugins that will work with Volatility 3 within MegaParser. You can see there is a pretty good list of plugins that you can use to choose from. If I look at this other file, vol plugins, these are the ones that are actually going to be run when I run MegaParser. So look at that. So I've picked out some of the ones from the other list, put them in here. If you want to add more plugins, grab them from the other list, copy them on here, put one plugin per line. The plugins will all be run under Windows, so obviously you're going to need the Windows version of the plugin. So that's the one you're going to select here. Save this file, and then when I run this in Volatility 3, these are the plugins that are going to run against the RAM capture. So I'm going to launch the MegaParser. I'm going to create a new case. Let's call this RAM test. And then a computer, so let's say computer 1. So once I get in here, in order to access the volatility, you go under the Open SQL View. And then I have a new button here, Import RAM Dump. Click on that, and then I'm going to choose my RAM file. So I've captured RAM file. I use Magnet RAM capture for this file, and this is actually from a real ransomware case. So it's going to open up, it tells you that it's going to open up a Python window for each plugin. So you're going to see once I hit OK on here, Windows opening, because it's actually going to be running Volatility in the background, one for each plugin. So you just have to wait. So you see the first window opens, it's Python. It's going to scan it. Now the first time through, the first scan of the first plugin is going to take the longest. Once it does that, then it caches it, so it scans the other plugins a lot faster. So it does each one twice. So the initial scanning and then the secondary scan. Okay, so that means plugin 1 was done. Now it opens plugin 2. So have one of these for each of the plugins that you selected in that volatility plugin file that I just showed you. So it's going to go through as many as you have. Just be patient and wait for these. If you do X out of the window, what it'll do is it'll just skip that plugin. So if you do have a plugin that's taking forever to run, like Malfind, for example, will work, but it takes forever to run. If you don't want to wait for it, you can exit out. It'll just skip that plugin and go on to the next one. But basically what it's doing is it's taking all the information from each plugin, it's storing it into an object file in memory, and once it's done with this, it imports it into the SQLite database so that you'll be able to search the results. Okay, so now that the plugins are done, it's going to start importing the data into the database, as you see at the top here. It's importing the data from each of the plugins. So it's going to load it, and then once it's done, then we'll be able to look at the data that we've gotten from all of the plugins. I did skip ahead in the video, so you don't have to sit there for 10 minutes while all those plugins loaded. But basically, you're going to wait until all the DOS windows close before you'll see this window where it's importing the data into the database. It's not frozen. Sometimes it looks like it might be frozen. It's just sitting on the volatility plugin, especially if it has to output thousands of lines of results. It will sit there for a while it does that. It doesn't give you any feedback other than that little progress bar in the volatility window. So that's just something that's in volatility. Okay, so now we'll just wait here for this to import into the database. I mean, as you see, this one has 19,000 lines. So a lot of results from the different plugins. Okay, now once it's imported, it'll show this message, the import was successful, press OK. And then if we look at our drop-down window, we're going to see all these new database tables that we have. So all the RAM ones, I started with the word RAM and then dash and then the name of the plugin that was run. So you can see command line here, opens up all the information. So if we look at, just for a sample, we'll look at PS scan. So now that we have PS scan, we can see all the columns that imported. If we want to parse through this data really quickly, say I want to look for something specific, I'll go to the image file name. So that's this column here. And then I want it to contain, so I can choose any of these options here. I'm going to say image file name contains, and then I'm looking for team viewer. I want to add search, so I'm going to add to search. So now it's going to look for any columns with the image file name is like team viewer, execute query. And we see that we have one result here. And we can see the result over here has a parent ID of 752. So now if I want to see what launched the team viewer, I can put in my parent ID 752. And I can switch to the PID, that's the process ID. So process ID, I could say equals to 752. So that's going to give me the parent of team viewer. I'm going to clear the current search. I'm going to add this to the new search. So now just that, and execute query. And I see that it launched off services. Now I can follow this chain down farther if I want and do 624. So what launched services now? So 624. So I'm going to clear the query, add this, and execute a new one. And now we see that it came from wininit.exe. So that's one way you could do it. If you want to save the results, say I want to save this wininit, I can just hit export CSV. And anything that's on screen right now will export as a CSV file. So exports there. So if I want to see that, I can just go to my test data, that RAM folder. So I export it right here, test CSV. I have this tied to Timeline Explorer. So when I open, it's going to open Timeline Explorer. And I'll see the results of that, which will just be this one row that I exported here. Yeah, and you can see wininit. So that's an easy way to narrow down the data that you're looking at. One other thing I'm going to show you is if you have put Python or volatility in a different folder other than the root directory, how to select that. So you go to Close SQL View, go under Options, and then these two lines are where you select your Python 3 exe or your volatility exe. So they don't have to be in the root folder like that. If they are, it'll automatically select it. If not, then you'll have to manually select it here before using volatility. And that's pretty much it for the volatility part of MegaParser. Thank you.